Hello student, we are studying our last module of renewable energy sources course and which is the energy from biomass, and in that module we have covered nearly all topics in our previous videos. Now the last topic of this module is the advantages and disadvantages of the biomass energy conversion or the advantages and disadvantages of biological conversion of solar energy. So this is the last topic of this chapter, and in our previous video we have covered the volumetric composition of biomass based on the producer gas. That means in a producer gas there are different types of gases are present, and we have seen the concentration of these gases or the percentage of these gases in a producer gas. Also we have discussed about the efficiency of the any type of the gasifier, and which is around 75% for any gasifier. Also we have discussed about the advantages and disadvantages of downdraft gasifier. Now in this video we have to see the advantages and disadvantages of biological conversion of solar energy. Why this? That is a biological conversion of solar energy. We know that the photosynthesis is a natural process, and this photosynthesis process is based on the water and sunlight. That means plant synthesize their own food in the presence of sunlight and water, and we know that the food synthesized by plants is nothing but the inorganic matter, that is a biomass. It consists of cellulose, starches, protein, fats. So all are the inorganic material or inorganic matter. So we know that the definition of the biomass is nothing but it is a inorganic matter. So this acts a biomass. So we get the biomass from the solar energy. So biological conversion of solar energy. First we see advantages. First advantage is the only major input to the system will be solar energy, and which is a free of cost. We also discuss about the solar energy in our previous video, that is in the first chapter, that is a introduction to an energy sources, and we know that the solar energy is a renewable energy source and also it is a free of cost. So with the help of solar energy we are able to generate the biomass. So all this process is a free of cost, and which is a recyclable process. So this is the advantage of biomass energy conversion. Second advantage is the production of energy will involve the less formation of pollutants when we burn the fossil fuels, and we know that the fossil fuels are the conventional energy sources, and due to the burning of the fossil fuel there is a emission of the greenhouse gases, but in a production of the biomass energy there is a less formation of the pollutants. Third advantage is the technician for raising such plants are simple and similar to conventional agricultural, hence they can be used in the rural areas of the developing countries. We know that the construction of the biomass is simple and which is similar to the conventional agricultural, and it requires only average technician for the construction. We know that the biogas generally constructed with the help of steel, or sometimes many times it is constructed with the help of bricks and cement. So the construction is simple, and hence this technique or the biomass energy conversion is used in rural areas of the developing countries. Next advantage is the byproducts of such a system can be fully recycled. We know that generally the byproduct of the biomass energy conversion is nothing but the producer gas and ash, and producer gas acts as a fuel for many applications, and many times it can be directly used as a heat application or thermal for the thermal applications, and ash acts as a fertilizer for the plants. So, and sometimes if the biomass is works on the cow dung, and from that we are able to generate the biogas, then there is a byproduct is a slurry, and this slurry acts as a fertilizer for soil as well as for plant. So this is advantageous. Fifth advantage is the biogas can be distributed through a pipes for domestic use. We know that every biogas consists of a pipe and through which the biogas can be collected. So biogas can be distributed easily through pipes. Next advantage is the it can be stored in a container which can be transported to consumer. That means the biogas can be stored in a container, and so that we can easily transport this biogas to the consumers. Next advantage is the it reduces the over reliance of fossil fuels. That means the biomass acts as an alternative energy source for the fossil fuels. And fossil fuels are the conventional energy sources. They are hazardous to our environment after their burning, and also they are not recycled or non-renewable energy sources. But the biomass energy is a renewable energy source, and it reduces the emission of the gases. So it reduces the over dependence on the fossil fuels. Next advantage is the biomass energy produces less carbon than fossil fuels energy. Levels of greenhouse gases, methane and carbon dioxide could also reduced. That means in a biogas energy or in a biomass conversion into the form of usable energy, there is emission of carbon, but this emission is less as compared to in a fossil fuels, and the level of greenhouse gases emission in a fossil fuels is also high, but in a biomass energy conversion which is less. So we know that generally there are two greenhouse gases, methane and carbon dioxide, and after burning the fossil fuel there is a emission of these two greenhouse gases, and which is the hazardous to our environment. But in case of biomass energy conversion, this emission of these gases this emission can be reduced. So the biomass energy conversion is advantageous over a fossil fuel energy. Now the disadvantages, but it has some disadvantages. So first disadvantage is it can be expensive when taking into account the cost of harvesting, extracting, transporting, handling biomass. We know that there are different steps through which the biomass goes, and after that we will get the energy. So in a harvesting process, extracting, transporting and handling of the biomass, there is a requirement of money, and so this cost is or this maintenance is high. So this is the disadvantage. Second disadvantage is it uses lot of wood from the natural forest, which can lead to deforestation, and if wood is not fully burned, it can release soot like particles that may spread or that cause widespread air pollution. We know that combustion process, in a combustion process there is a directly burning of the wood, and if the wood is not burned completely, if it is burned partially, then there is or it can release soot like particles, and these soot like particles mix with the air and spread here and there. So due to spreading there is a pollution. So this is the disadvantage. And also we know that wood can be extracted from the forest, and due to the lot of uses of a lot of wood, there is a deforestation. So this is not beneficial for our environment. So this is the disadvantage. Third disadvantage is the land area required is relatively large, and hence this method is ruled out for areas where land cost is high. We know that generally the biogas plant require more space for the construction, and this is difficult for the construction in the area where the cost of the land is high. So there we are not able to construct the plant in a low cost. So this is the disadvantage. Next disadvantage is the ordinarily there is a storage problems. It cannot be liquefied, hence cannot be bottled like a LPG into cylinder. That means this gas cannot be liquefied easily like a LPG, so it cannot be bottled. Next disadvantage is it is generally a more expensive energy source compared to fossil fuels because it requires more fuel to produce the same amount of energy. In a fossil fuels, we know that when burning of small amount of fossil fuels, there is a generation of the large amount of energy, but in biomass energy conversion, it requires large fossil fuel, large biomass to produce the same amount of energy. So this is the disadvantages, and so it is a more expensive energy source as compared to the fossil fuels. Next disadvantage is a great deal of land and water are needed for some biomass crops to be produced, and when they have grown, the product requires a large amount of storage room before being converted into energy. We know that in a generally biogas in a biogas plant, there is a conversion of biomass into the biogas, or sometimes it may be converted into biodiesel. So in this process we have biomass, and generally we can use agricultural waste or agricultural crops. In sometimes the special type of crops are grown for the production of the biomass for the biogas plant, and this crop requires more land and water for their growth, and after the product is grown, there is a requirement of the storage. So it requires large amount of storage room before being converted into energy. So this is the disadvantages. Next disadvantage is another disadvantage is that biomass energy is not entirely clean, because sometimes we can use waste material which acts as a biomass for the biogas plant, and this waste material foul the bad smell. So this is not an entirely clean source of energy, and also some greenhouse gases are still produced, although the level of these gases are far less than those produced by the fossil fuels. Still, in the biomass energy conversion, there is also emission of these less greenhouse gases, but which is less as compared to in a fossil fuels. Next disadvantage is the constant and continuous supply of biomass is required for the generation of the biomass energy. When we require the continuous supply of the biomass energy, then we have to supply the biomass continuously, then we get the continuous source of energy. Next disadvantage is compared to the input of raw material, the outcome is comparatively less. That means we introduce the biomass into the biogas plant, which is in a large amount, but output is less as compared to the input. So this is the disadvantages for this plant or for the biomass energy conversion process. Next disadvantage is all the raw materials used are waste products that can cause pollution and foul smell. That means generally in a many biogas plant, there is a waste material is used for the production of the biogas, that is agricultural waste, kitchen waste, municipal waste, animal waste, plant waste, and sometimes this waste material cause pollution and foul smell. So this is the disadvantages to our environment. Next disadvantage is more and more biomass crops are grown, which turn reduces the fertility of soil. As we already mentioned, there are different crops are grown for the biogas plant, or which acts as a agricultural crop for the biomass plant, and which acts as a raw material for the production of the biomass energy. And sometimes more and more biomass crops are grown, and this reduces the fertility of the soil. So this is not good for our environment. So this is also disadvantage of the biomass energy conversion process. So these all are the advantages and disadvantages of the biomass energy conversion process, but still it has a advantages, or it is a widely used in developing countries. So this is the one of the good source for production of the bioenergy, or sometimes it produces biogas or biodiesel, and this produced biogas and biodiesel acts as a fuel for many applications. So this is all about the biomass energy conversion, and this is the last point of our chapter, that is energy from biomass. So we have covered all the topics of the fourth chapter, that is a biomass energy conversion, energy from the biomass. So here we have covered all the syllabus of our course, that is elective first, and which is the renewable energy source. So thank you.